I got some real solid financial information to share with you guys in this video. If you stick with me to the last point, we're gonna get a little bit personal and we're gonna talk about how your family, your friends, and the people who love you more than anybody else in this world can actually have a negative impact on your finances. What's up, money growers? Jacob back here with another video, hoping you guys are growing your money today and every day. And in this video, we're gonna talk about 6 credit mistakes that only rookies make. The first one we're gonna talk about is not gambling enough money when you come to visit the city where I live, Las Vegas. Nah, I'm just kidding. We'll get into the real ones right now. Starting at the top, number 6, signing up for a credit card with no plan or no purpose. And oh man, I've definitely done this one. I used to have an Amazon credit card because I think they gave me like $100 in shopping credit or something for signing up. But I also used to have a Wells Fargo credit card just because that was the bank that I had in college. That was the only reason I got it. Credit cards will frequently offer you some kind of promotion in an attempt to convince you to go ahead and sign up with them versus signing up with one of their competitors. Now, whether that promotion includes some sort of sign-up bonus, cashback, or low intro APR in some category, it's all just part of marketing. But regardless of the promotion or the marketing that any company is doing in order to get you to apply for a certain credit card, it's ultimately your responsibility to decide if filling out the application for a particular credit card is suitable for your lifestyle and your financial situation. If you're someone who doesn't travel much and you really don't plan to do any traveling anytime in the near future, then getting a credit card that's geared towards people who do travel probably isn't gonna make a lot of sense for you. So for something like a Delta card or a Southwest or any of the airlines credit cards, for you, that's probably not gonna be very valuable because that's not part of your normal lifestyle. If you're someone who really does not like to apply for credit cards very often, you don't like the tracking, you prefer just simple and easy rewards, then getting something like a cashback card where you get 1.5% or 2% back on everything you buy might be better for you because you're not someone who wants to get new cards very frequently to try to hit those sign-up bonuses. You like simple, you like easy, you just like getting back a consistent reward over time. The whole point I'm making here is that you will get the most value out of a particular credit card if you are specific in what you are looking for, if you know what's going to suit you and your lifestyle best, and you go for credit cards that fit you and your situation. Number 5, spending up to the maximum limit on your credit card. Fortunately, I have never done this with a personal credit card that I own, but with business credit cards I own, I have done that. But business credit cards, different video for another day, because they are a completely different animal in that regard than personal credit cards. This is a newbie mistake that happens with credit if you really just don't understand utilization. When you're starting out with credit and you get that first nice, brand new, shiny credit card and you're told that the limit on that thing is $3,000, you might think that you can just spend away. And as long as you don't spend over $3,000, you're A-okay. Well, here's the deal. This situation can be dangerous for both your credit score, but also your overall financial situation, because if you don't pay off that $3,000 by the due date, and then you wind up carrying that balance, you could wind up hurting your image in the eyes of financial institutions. That is when you learn the hard way about utilization. Because if you are maxing out your credit card, you're not paying off what you need to by the due date, that gets reported to the credit bureaus. If this happens, you may get a notification sent to you from either your bank, your credit card company, or any credit card monitoring service you use, letting you know that your utilization is really high on one of your cards. That happened to me, not on my own card, but as a card where I was an authorized user on somebody else's, and they did that. Now, I know it may seem counterintuitive to give someone a particular limit on their credit card and then penalize them for just staying within the limit that they were given, but understand that to financial institutions, if you do that, to them it looks like you are desperate for money, and it looks like you're not able to manage your money if you need to go to your credit card and you're gonna be spending up to that limit. And if you continue to have more issues with credit and your finances going forward from there, then it's gonna be even harder in the future if you do wanna get something like a loan, whether it's for a car or whether it's for a house or something like that. The more financial issues you have, the more bad things that are showing up on your credit report, the more things that are hurting your score, the more difficult it's going to be and the more costly it's going to be if you do want to get a loan. Some common advice that you will hear is that you should keep your credit utilization 30% or below, but depending on who you watch or what article you read or what website you're looking at, you might hear numbers even lower than that, but that's pretty common. You'll hear people say 30% or lower. Number 4, signing up for bad secured credit cards. This one is particularly aimed at people who are the most vulnerable, because these are people who are either just beginning their journey with credit, so they're trying to start from zero and build their way up, or they're people who have had bad issues in the past, they've had all kinds of problems, and they're trying to rebuild their credit. So these are people who are starting from even below that are trying to get back on their feet. And some of these secured cards offer a horrible deal that are essentially predatory when you look at how much some of them cost and the deal and the fees and all sorts of stuff that come along with some of these. I have done several videos on this channel talking about certain secured credit cards, especially ones that have really high fees with them, or they have such shady rules that if they're not a scam, I would say they are borderline scam. If you are a beginner with credit or you are trying to rebuild your credit, then you particularly need to be on the lookout for these cards and these bad products, because in many ways they are predatory and they're aiming at you. One example that I will give you guys from this channel is a video I did on a bank called First Premier Bank Secured Credit Card. This complete joke of a credit card has a $200 limit, but a $50 annual fee. 50 as in 50, as in 25% of the card's total limit for the annual fee. As much as it does suck that there are credit cards out there like that, the good news is that fortunately there are plenty of other choices you have, even just for secured credit cards. So if you want to get a much better choice, something like the Discover It card is a good one. Navy Federal's N Rewards card is a very popular one. If you're able to get accepted into Navy Federal by meeting their membership requirements, a good quality secured credit card like the Discover It card or like Navy Federal's N Rewards credit card are much better than some of these other garbage ones that I've had to do videos on here. Because 1, you can have a higher limit with the card. 2, you can graduate to an unsecured card much faster. And 3, they do not gouge you with fees in the process. Number 3, not asking the bank, credit union, or credit card company for any kind of help. This one is all too common, and it's something that I've done as well, because sometimes in life, we make certain situations harder on ourselves than they need to be. Most people have a certain level of fear of looking stupid because either they didn't know something or they did something wrong. Doing this can lead us to choosing to not ask questions that could teach us something really valuable and actually really help improve our lives. Remember that a big part of the job for these people who work at these financial institutions that deal with customers is for them to be able to answer your questions, because it's important that you understand the situation in front of you. It's your finances, it's your future, and they are there to help you. They are there to answer your questions so that you have a better understanding of your finances. With that being said, you will discover as you talk to more people, particularly in customer service, as you get more comfortable asking them questions and learning from them, you will find over time that certain people are just much better and much more knowledgeable at their job than others. So if you're speaking to someone who's giving you conflicting information or doesn't seem to know what they're talking about, or they're explaining it in a way that still does not make sense to you, don't be afraid to either ask for someone else or see if there's someone higher up who might have the answer. Because what you may get is someone who's maybe brand new at the job and they don't have that much experience, so they're just doing whatever the training manual says. They're just telling you whatever the training manual tells them. Where later, you might be able to get to talk to a more experienced employee who's worked there for years, and they know what the training manual says, they know what the policy says, but sometimes what happens in real life isn't exactly what the policy says. So the policy might say one thing, but they might say in all the years of experience, they've never really seen it work that way, or sometimes a manager can approve something that normally they don't. So when you call and you talk and ask and get to speak to certain people, you may get different results. So the more you do that, the more people you talk to, the more you ask, the more you're going to find out and the more you're going to learn, and learn things that other people have not. At one point in time, we were all beginners and none of us knew anything about credit. None of us knew anything about finances. None of us knew anything about money. We all had to start at zero at some point, and we had to all learn from there. I know that there can be hesitation about asking something for fear of what people might think of you. But keep in mind, your life is valuable, and you can become even more valuable to yourself and the people around you and the people you care about by taking the time to learn new skills and processes. That is worth far more than any possible moment where you're worried about people judging you negatively for something. And that segues perfectly into mistake number 2, which is you don't take the time to actually learn about credit. Now that you have overcome your fear of being a beginner in the world of credit, you have to take the time to actually learn about the system. Unfortunately, this is something that pretty much none of us were taught in school or at home, myself included. Credit scoring might seem simple on the surface, but once you start digging in, you'll see that sometimes things don't seem to make sense. You may pay off a student loan and see your score go down. You may pay off a credit card though and see your score go up. Other things like how your credit card's interest is calculated may not be so obvious, or even just your billing cycle and certain terminology that is common in the world of credit might take a little bit of time to learn. Understand, you don't need to be an expert, but taking some time to learn about credit scores and credit cards can be very helpful for your financial life, because you will find out pretty quickly as you learn even just a little bit, you will see how much people do not know about this subject, because again, we are not taught this at home or in school. Number 1, taking advice from people who have good intentions, but have absolutely no idea what they are talking about. This is probably the most challenging bullet point for me to go over in this video, but I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to tell you why. For many people, their first introduction to credit is as they're entering adulthood. So right about the time you're finishing high school. When you're growing up as a kid and you have a question about something, you often turn to your parents or your teachers or other people in your community for advice. And because when you're growing up as a kid, you don't know a whole lot, you don't have much life experience, and for the handful of people that you've known in your short life, it would seem natural to go to them for any problem or any question that you may have. I started to understand this when I was in college. I understood it more when I got out of college, and now I really understand this. So here's the deal. Just because someone raised you, is related to you, or has been a friend of yours for years, does not mean that they are able to help you with everything you need to be prepared for life, financially or otherwise. These people love you, but you may see that they give you very bad advice on a particular subject because on that subject, they did not know what they were talking about.